All right, let's talk about one of the most legendary self-help books ever written, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. For almost a century, people have been saying it holds a secret to success, a kind of formula for getting anything you want out of life. Well, in this explainer, we're going to drag that secret right out into the open.
So the whole thing kicks off with a massive challenge. You've got Andrew Carnegie, who is basically the Jeff Bezos of his day, one of the richest men on the planet. And he throws down the gauntlet to a young journalist, Napoleon Hill. He says, I want you to spend the next 20 years interviewing the 500 most successful people in the world, figure out what they all have in common, and then share that success formula with everybody. No pressure, right?
And here's where it gets a little mysterious. Hill writes the book, and he swears the secret is in there, mentioned over and over again. But he never actually comes out and says, here's the secret. He was a big believer that the formula only works when you're ready for it, when you discover it for yourself. So what is this big secret? Let's start putting the clues together.
Okay, the very first piece of the puzzle, and honestly, the most important one, is what Hill calls the starting point of all achievement. And let's be clear, he's not talking about a wish or a vague hope. He means a white-hot, burning desire. This is a state of mind that's so intense, it basically forces all of your energy, both conscious and subconscious, toward one single goal. And there's no better way to understand this than to look at the wild story of Edwin C. Barnes.
So this guy, Barnes, he has this idea that to most people would sound completely nuts. He wants to go into business with the one and only Thomas Edison. The problem? He's broke. He actually has to hop a freight train just to get to Edison's office. And when he shows up, he looks, in Edison's own words, like an ordinary tramp. Not exactly a great first impression.
Now here is the absolute key to this whole story. Barnes didn't just want a job. He had a definite goal: to become Edison's business partner. It wasn't just, I hope to work with Edison someday. It was, I will go into business with him. That single-minded clarity was everything. He was totally willing to take any menial job just to get a foot in the door, because his eye was on that one specific prize.
And for 5 years, nothing. Imagine that. 5 years of doing grunt work, being just another guy in the factory. But here's the thing. In his own mind, he was already Edison's partner. He was just waiting for reality to catch up. He held on to that one desire so tightly that it became what Hill calls an all-consuming obsession. And that mindset is what allowed him to see an opportunity nobody else did. When Edison came up with a new dictating machine that all his top salesmen thought was a total dud, Barnes saw his moment. He jumped on it, he proved he could sell it, and boom, he got his partnership.
So what this story really hammers home is that desire, in Hill's world, is this incredibly intense, laser-focused obsession with a clear goal. It's the engine that powers the entire process. It's like a magnet for your subconscious mind, pointing you toward opportunities and away from distractions. But, an engine by itself isn't a car. You've got to amplify that power.
And that brings us to our second big clue. Hill was convinced that no single person, no matter how smart, has all the answers. If you want to do something really big, you need to plug into a bigger power source. And the way you do that is by forming what he called a mastermind alliance. This is all about creating power that grows exponentially, not just 1 + 1 = 2.
Now, a mastermind isn't just, a group of friends brainstorming. It's a true alliance where the combined brain power actually creates something new, a third, invisible mind that's way smarter than any individual member. But for it to work, Hill said 2 things were absolutely essential: total harmony and a shared, definite goal. When you get that alignment, you can generate ideas and insights that would be impossible to come up with on your own.
Hill believed that a proper mastermind lets you tap into knowledge way beyond your own personal experience. Of course, it gives you access to practical things, like all the knowledge stored in libraries or from scientific research. But he also believed it connected you to something deeper, something he called infinite intelligence. Think of it as a universal database of all knowledge and creativity. The mastermind group acts like an antenna, tuning into ideas that are just floating out there, out of reach for a single mind.
And if you think this all sounds a little out there, well, let's look at a real-world example on a massive scale. When Andrew Carnegie wanted to consolidate all his steel companies into one giant corporation, it was a guy named Charles M. Schwab who made it happen. And how did he do it? By using his own powerful mastermind group, which just so happened to include the legendary banker J.P. Morgan.
And the result of that one deal? Get this. It created a corporation worth $600 million back in 1901. That's the kind of power Hill is talking about.
So you have a burning desire, and you amplify it with a mastermind. But there's still one missing ingredient. Think about it. You can have a powerful engine and a great team of drivers, but that car isn't going anywhere without fuel. In this formula, the fuel is persistence. It's the dogged, sustained effort you need to keep going when things get tough. And they will get tough. It's about training your brain to see failure not as a stop sign, but as a helpful detour.
Hill pretty much saw the world divided into two camps. You've got the vast majority of people who, at the first sign of trouble, just throw in the towel and start making excuses. But then you have the achievers. They operate on a totally different belief system. They know that every single failure, every defeat, contains the seed of an equal or even greater success. It's not the end of the road. It's just feedback.
And that's exactly how Hill described Edwin C. Barnes's attitude during those 5 long years. It wasn't just sitting around and waiting. It was an active, bulldog determination. It's that quality that simply refuses to even consider failure as an option. So, there we have it. All the pieces are on the table. We've got a burning desire for a very specific goal, we have a mastermind alliance to give us the power and knowledge we need, and we have unwavering persistence to keep us going. Now it's time to put it all together and reveal the formula.
So here's the big reveal. The secret that Carnegie shared isn't some magic word or a lucky charm. It's a process. It's a repeatable, practical formula for taking something that starts as just a thought in your head, a desire, and systematically turning it into its physical, real-world counterpart, whether that's a pile of cash, a thriving business, or any other goal you can imagine.
And here it is, the whole shebang laid out. Step 1. You start with that burning desire for a definite, specific goal. Step 2. You create a definite plan for how you're going to get there. Step 3. You build a mastermind alliance to give you the brain power and support you need to pull off that plan. And finally, Step 4. You take persistent action. You follow that plan, you don't give up until your desire becomes your reality. That's it. That's the formula.
The real power of this formula is that it says you're in charge. Success isn't about luck or where you came from. It's about a methodical process of creation that starts and ends in your own mind. So I guess the only question left is, what definite purpose are you going to think into reality?